This is the Module 9 introduction video. So we're going to continue looking at different types of ways to summarize data for your draft or for your overall report as well as for your draft reports. So just to kind of recap what we've looked at so far. So in Module 6, you looked at how to both graphically and numerically summarize a single categorical variable. In Module 7, you looked at how to graphically summarize a single quantitative variable. And in Module 8, you looked at how to numerically summarize a single quantitative variable, and you also actually looked at some multivariate analysis, even though we hadn't used that term yet. So what do I mean by multivariate analysis? What I mean by these is you're analyzing more than one variable at a time. And so for part of worksheets, what I had you do was to look at numeric summaries of quantitative variables at two different levels of a categorical variable. And so you were actually introduced to the idea of multivariate analysis, or we could say bivariate analysis, because we were really looking at two different variables, a quantitative and a categorical. And again, we saw how to summarize that the quantitative variable for different levels of the categorical. Now in this module, we're going to continue with that idea of bivariate summaries. And so you're going to start out by looking at how to look at two categorical variables at a time, and then you'll move on to looking at two quantitative variables at a time. And so now when we start looking at these bivariate relationships, these are the relationships that you will typically see in these reports. And so you might ask, well, why do we need to spend so much time on the univariate before we get here? The reason for that is, if you're going to do multivariate analysis, it's very important to have an understanding of how those variables behave singularly or by themselves, and also by doing a good univariate analysis first. That's going to get you to really go through and look at all the potential variables. So one thing that you may have noticed as you're working through this project is our code book is very big and it's complex in terms of the number of variables we have. And so intentionally, the way that I developed this course is for you to have that explorative experience, because that's what it's going to be like when you do data analysis in the world. And so you may have hit some roadblocks along the way. There may have been a variable you wanted to look at and come to find out your state didn't actually measure that variable. Or you may have went to go look at a variable and found that the way that they coded it wasn't the most useful. You had to transform it. Maybe there were multiple variables and you had to decide which one you were going to use to look at a specific topic. So there's lots of things going on here. So by starting with univariate analysis, that really gets you to explore what's happening with the variables individually and to see what's really going on in the code book, to get a good feel of what's happening. So now that you've had this explorative experience univariately, now we can start thinking about, okay, well, how do these variables relate to one another, which is what we're often interested in a public health setting. So again, in this module, we're going to start that process. And so you're going to look at comparing two categorical variables as well as two quantitative variables. Now, as always, once you get to the coding portion, I've just given you the basics of the code there. You're bound to come up with other things that you would like to do that the code isn't provided for. So please just ask me once you get to that step. Say, hey, working with this variable, and I'd really like to do this, and I don't know how to do it, and I'm more than happy to help you out there. As always, if you have any questions or need any help, please let me know.